Okay, so let's get right into it. Something really significant is happening in the world of global investment. Saudi Arabia has just put a major new regulatory framework in place, and believe me, it's sending a very clear signal to businesses and investors all over the world. So today we're going to break down exactly what's changing and, more importantly, why it matters so much.
First things first, let's be clear. This is not just some minor tweak to the legal code. We are talking about a fundamental shift in how one of the planet's most dynamic economies is choosing to do business. This is a very deliberate, very strategic move, and it's designed to make the entire global financial community sit up and take notice.
You know, this quote from the source material just says it all. Saudi Arabia is prioritizing regulatory clarity over opacity. That really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? It's basically a declaration that the old ways of doing business, where who owned what could sometimes be a little murky, well, those days are over. The kingdom is sending a signal that it wants the serious, long-term capital that values stability and, you guessed it, transparency.
So let's get into the nitty-gritty and decode these new rules. What is actually changing on the ground? Well, all the specifics really circle around one core idea: finding out who truly owns and controls the company. Not just who's on the letterhead, but who is actually in practice pulling the strings.
And the key term you need to know here is ultimate beneficial owner, or UBO for short. It's a pretty simple concept, but it has absolutely huge implications. See, it's not about the company's public-facing CEO or the name on the building. It's about the real person, the actual human being, who is at the very end of the chain, reaping the rewards and making the critical decisions, even if they're hidden behind, say, 5 layers of shell corporations. These new rules are all about pulling that curtain back.
So how are they doing it? Well, it boils down to 4 new, really important obligations for companies in the kingdom. First, they have to keep an accurate, up-to-date list of their UBOs. Second, they have to disclose anyone who has effective control. Third, and this is crucial, they have to report any changes right away. And fourth, they have to make all this information available to the authorities whenever they ask. This is a massive change. It creates a whole new level of corporate accountability.
But what's really fascinating is the why behind all this. I mean, why now? This isn't happening in a bubble. To really get it, we need to kind of zoom out and see how this move fits into a much bigger trend that's happening all across the globe.
And the single biggest driver is this: aligning with the standards of the Financial Action Task Force, or FATF. The easiest way to think about the FATF is as the world's referee for fighting things like money laundering and illegal financing. So when a country like Saudi Arabia decides to align with their rules, it's essentially telling the world, hey, we play by the highest international standard. And the strategic advantages of doing this? They're huge. You see, by adopting these best practices, Saudi Arabia seriously boosts its reputation as a safe place to put your money. This directly fuels its massive economic transformation plans, and it makes the kingdom way more competitive when it's trying to attract that big league institutional money. You know, the kind of capital that is super careful about risk and good governance. So, let's get to the bottom line. What does this all actually mean for an investor or a big company that's looking at doing business in the kingdom? Well, it's a game changer. It's a fundamental shift from navigating potential unknowns to operating with a whole lot more confidence.
I mean, you can really see the difference here. It's like night and day. In the past, not always knowing who you were really dealing with meant higher risks and incredibly complicated background checks. The future that this new framework is building is all about clarity. And that clarity leads directly to more confident investors and ultimately business deals that are just smoother and faster for everyone.
Think of it like this. A truly solid, investor-friendly environment is really built on 3 core pillars. You need protection for your capital, you need strong enforcement of the rules, and you need transparency. That's the one we're focused on today. By making this transparency pillar rock solid, Saudi Arabia is basically strengthening the entire structure, making the whole thing a much more attractive place for global investment.
All right, let's wrap this up by looking at the biggest picture of all. This move isn't just about checking a box or following a rule. No, it's a critical piece of a much larger, strategic transformation that's completely reshaping the kingdom.
And if you take away just one thing from all this, it should be this: Saudi Arabia is actively evolving its brand on the world stage. It's shifting from being seen just as a growth market, a place with high potential but maybe higher risk, to becoming a rules-based environment. It's building a system for sophisticated global partners who value predictability and solid governance more than anything else. So, all of this leaves us with one last big thought to chew on. As countries all over the world are competing harder than ever for investment, this huge move by Saudi Arabia raises a really interesting question for all of us. And this new global economy we're building, is transparency becoming the ultimate currency?